Hey boys and girls, I'm here with your reading comprehension lesson for today, for Friday. I'm going to share a story called Jack's Garden by Henry Cole. He's the author and the illustrator. You're going to need something to write on and something to write with. So pause me and go grab those things. Good. I'm ready. I have my board and I have my pen here. And what we're going to do today is we're going to make our thinking map. We're going to write down the characters and the setting of our story, okay? So I'm going to pretend that this is my thinking map. Remember, when we make our thinking map, it's got a line in the middle like this, and it's got two parts up here where we put the characters here and the setting here. We're going to do it together, and then down on the bottom it has the events. What happens at the beginning of the story and what happens at the end of the story, okay? I know we're going to get characters and setting done today, okay? I don't know if we'll get to events yet today. We might wait to do events until next week. I think we'll wait and add events in next week. It's been a little while, so we need to make sure we get our characters and our setting today. So remember, as I'm reading, I want you to think the characters. Who are the characters? Who? People are the characters. That's who. Who. Talking animals are characters too. Ooh. And then with setting, we think, oh, where and when have the characters gone? Oh, where and when can they be? Are they at their house, at the zoo, or a wedding? They'll always be in a setting. So let's keep those things in mind as I read the story, okay? And we'll fill in our chart as we read the story, okay? Here we go. Jack's Garden by Henry Cole. This is not informational text. This is a fiction story. Jack's Garden by Henry Cole. There's one name there. That tells me he's the author and the illustrator. He wrote the story and he drew the pictures to match. Here we go. This is the garden that Jack planted. Well, there's Jack. The story is called Jack's Garden. Can I put Jack down as a character? I think I can. And let's look up here. This is a garden claw and pruning shears. Here he has a shovel and a trowel, is a short shovel, a rake, a hose, that's a big book, a watering can. This is the garden hoe, and it breaks up the ground. Those are the tools that he needs. So I'm going to take my pencil right now. I'm going to pause my book, and I'm going to take my pencil, and I'm going to make a picture of Jack. I'm just going to make his face. That's what we do at school. Makes it a little easier to fit it all in. So I'm going to put his face. I remember that this is the characters part, so I'm going to put his face. And I see that Jack's got a smile on his face. That's why I put a smile. And Jack's got some hair coming out. And what I noticed too is that Jack's wearing a baseball cap. And yep, it goes out like this. So there's Jack's hat. Okay? So that's Jack. Let's see. There we go. And I could label him Jack. J. Yep. And you know what? It's his name. So it's capital. Jack. And actually I know how to spell his name because look, it's on the front. J-A. At the end, it's C-K. So I'm going to write that. Okay, there we go. Okay, I'm going to put my pencil down now. I'm going to keep reading to you. This is the soil that made up the garden that Jack planted. Oh, and there's lots of things in the soil to help it out. There's worms and a mole and beetles and other kinds of worms and larvae, things that haven't grown yet. And look, the worms, they come in and they dig tunnels in there. That's good for the soil. These are the seeds that fell on the soil that made up the garden that Jack planted. He planted all sorts of seeds in his garden. Seeds come in packets. And these are lupine seeds and phlox seeds and dianthus and hollyhock and poppy seeds and sunflower seeds. And those are milkweed seeds. All sorts of cool seeds. And look, he's got his garden all in rows, so he knows where everything's going to grow. This is the rain that wet the seeds that fell on the soil that made up the garden that Jack planted. Jack knows that rainwater, there's different kinds of clouds up there. He knows that rainwater will help his seeds to grow. We haven't come across any other characters, have we? These are the seedlings that sprouted with the rain that wet the seeds that fell on the soil that made up the garden that Jack planted. So here's all his different things. This is the stem and the roots and the seed leaves up here. Look at them all coming out. Here's a centipede and a millipede. And this is a sow bug down here. And oh, there's a bird eating a worm. And down here we have a germinating seed. So that's a seed starting to grow. And we've got, down here we've got the roots and the seed leaves and the adult leaves. These are the plants that grew from the seedlings that sprouted with the rain that wet the seeds that fell on the soil that made up the garden that Jack planted. So here's the thing. He's got bee balm, allium, hollyhock, spiderwort, columbine, and hawkweed. And look, there's a snake, a garter snake that might be in his garden, and a stink bug, and that's a firefly, a lacewing, and a swallowtail larva that's going to turn into a butterfly, a goldenrod spider, an argipoi spider, and there was a praying mantis right here. These are the buds that formed on the plants that grew from the seedlings that sprouted with the rain that wet the seeds that fell on the soil that made up the garden that Jack planted. So here's the buds. Buttercup, dianthus, foxglove, poppy, phlox, milkweed, and here's ladybird beetle eggs. Those are ladybug eggs. This is the twice-stabbed ladybird beetle, the willow leaf beetle, the ash gray ladybird beetle, the spotted ladybird beetle, the 9-spotted ladybird beetle. This is the convergent ladybird beetle, the variable ladybird beetle, the 2-spotted ladybird beetle, and this is a ladybird beetle larva. Means it hasn't grown yet. Ladybird beetle is technically what a ladybug is called. These are the flowers that blossomed from the buds that formed on the plants that grew from the seedlings that sprouted with the rain that wet the seeds that fell on the soil that made up the garden that Jack planted. There's all the flowers: white clover, fleabane, lupine, black-eyed Susan, aster, red clover, wild geranium, yarrow, mullein, coreopsis, bee balm, pinks, daisy, spiderwort, bluet. There's all sorts of flowers in there. These are the insects that sipped the nectar from the flowers, that blossomed from the buds, that formed on the plants, that grew from the seedlings, that sprouted with the rain, that wet the seeds, that fell on the soil, that made up the garden that Jack planted. So there is the milkweed bug, the green juice beetle, the blue butterfly, the purple coneflower plant, admiral butterfly, sulfur butterfly, swallowtail butterfly, the soldier beetle, the skipper butterfly. This is the Sarah orange tip butterfly. This is the buckeye butterfly, a bumblebee, a metallic bee, and a copper butterfly, and a long-horned beetle. These are the birds that chase the insects, that sipped the nectar from the flowers, that blossomed from the buds, that formed on the plants, that grew from the seedlings, that sprouted with the rain, that wet the seeds, that fell on the soil, that made up the garden that Jack planted. Here's the vireo, the brown thrasher egg, the yellow warbler, the barn swallow, the mourning dove egg, the grapevine beetle, a robin's egg, a bluebird, a barn swallow egg, a catbird egg, a goldfinch, the bluebird egg, the vireo egg, the catbird, the goldfinch egg, the yellow warbler egg, the sunflower. And this is the garden that Jack planted. And there's all those. Here's the morning glory, and the mourning dove, and the brown thrasher, and the hummingbirds. I've been seeing a lot of those lately. It's been nice. And that's the end of our story. So we know who the characters are. The only character in the story is Jack. It's all about him. And where does it take place? Absolutely, it's in his garden. So what you're going to do over here is draw his garden. And I'm going to draw the soil, and I'm going to put Jack in the garden. And let's put his hat on, and his hair kind of comes out of his hat. I'm going to draw Jack. He's out there in his garden. He's probably got some tools. We can put a trowel in his hand, his feet in the dirt. And I want to see, I'm going to stop my illustration. I want to see how the rest of your garden looks at the end of the story. Have your family snap a picture of your thinking map and drop it in the comments below. Thanks, guys.